welcome to everyone. So glad that you guys joining us today. This is our second office hour. The topic of this office hour is quantitative business overview. I think it's like any entrepreneur's most favorite topic. For sure, it's not my favorite topic. But before we kick in with the topic, I just wanted to give a quick introduction. I'm Franziska. I'm the CEO and one of the founders of Uncapped. With me in the call, I have my two colleagues, Esther. She is our investment lead. She just joined us a couple of weeks ago, as well as Wambui, who is our marketing product lead, who also joined us 2 months ago. It feels like both of you have been working for us for quite a while. And before we now dive into a quick explanation of Uncapped, and also like an overview of basically the quantitative business overview step, I would just be really curious to learn a little bit more about our audience today. If it would be great if you guys just kind of like quickly write in the chat box, what country are you in? Did you already start the application, or is it something you're almost finished, or you have already finished, or you're still considering if you should even apply? Then hopefully this session will also help you to make that decision. And if you just kind of like put it in the chat, that would be very just interesting for us to see, and I think also for the other attendees at the moment. And just kind of like, in the meantime, let me give you a quick overview of Uncapped for those who don't know us that well yet. So basically, Uncapped was founded in 2019, so a little bit more than 2 years ago. And it was basically founded with the goal to make funding accessible to every good founder. So there are like 20+ million early stage founders like you guys in Sub-Saharan Africa. Most of whom are like building really fantastic companies, but also where most of them, probably like you guys, started with access to funding. And we as a team, we as a company, we truly believe in the power of entrepreneurship. And we also believe that every entrepreneur deserves a chance to access funding, no matter the background, no matter your gender, no matter your skin color, no matter your location. And so basically over the last 2 years, we've created and tested and also built our funding and growth platform. This is a platform we just went live with a couple of weeks ago. This is also the platform you're applying for. And with this platform, we are now able to invest up to $50,000 into early stage businesses without any collateral, and also in a way that is very adapted to your growth. We're going to talk a little bit more about the type of investment in the next office hour. This is not the focus of this office hour, but just kind of like to wrap it up a little bit. The platform is also, like I said, not only a funding, but also a growth platform. It also gives you access to resources, to trainings, but also to follow on funding opportunities from our partners. And it's also designed to better help you understand your business through financial analysis, but also performance overviews. Over the next 10 years, our goal is to invest in at least 50,000 entrepreneurs. And it would be fantastic if some of you guys are amongst those entrepreneurs and amongst the first that we're able to invest in. We're now going to jump into the quantitative business overview. That's why you're all here. But the first, can you go one slide back, probably? Thank you. First, the question is like, I mean, why quantitative business overview? Like, why do we care? Why is it part of the application process? Why do we think that it's an important step for us to assess you as a founder? But also, why do we think it's something that's important to any business, no matter if you're applying for funding or not? And I think this is something that our colleague Esther can maybe talk a little bit more about, and why financials are just very important to us as a company ourselves, but also in the application process.
Thank you, Franziska, and hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me. If I'm not loud enough, just let me know in the comments. Thank you for that introduction, Franziska. Just going back to that question, Wambui, the slide with the question is, There's an interesting quote there by Warren Buffett. You have to understand accounting and you have to understand the nuances of accounting. It's the language of business. And honestly, I wish somebody told this to me 15 years ago when I launched my first business. So I guess my why is sort of like the understanding of the role of financials when you are building a business and when you're applying for capital, any type of capital, really. If you're looking for grant funding or if you're looking for venture capital, really, the understanding of financials is really critical. And I did not have an understanding of this. So I built what I thought was a fantastic product, but I only quickly realized that product is only one of 4 critical items or critical areas that is assessed when you're looking at a business. So there's product, there's team, there's market, and then there's financials. So I had a really good product. I barely had a team. The market was fantastic, but financials, I was just getting by. I was making a few sales here, just putting things aside, so long as the business keeps running, I figured, I have a business. Turns out it wasn't so, right? Because what investors and what anybody who's looking to finance your business is looking for is that, they take a closer look at your unit economics and your business model intricacies. They focus on your customer acquisition costs, your retention rates, your profitability. They look at, they consider your performance scenario analysis and all, what revenue model are you proposing? They look at your total runway as a startup and what your burn rate is. And they focus on your team's ability to be able to stretch money for a long period of time. So financials really defines what your business is doing and what it's capable of doing. And, it compensates for even sort of the 3 other aspects that I mentioned earlier. It really sort of like encompasses them all and is a significant area that needs to be focused on by entrepreneurs on a day-to-day basis. So, and the next slide is, so as any investors, any financing partner out there, your financials are really critical to us. I also should mention that one of the things, especially for early stage businesses that, entrepreneurs need to realize, it's that it's not the actual value of the numbers that we are looking for, more so the understanding that founders have of those numbers. You could be having a turnover of $1 million every 3 months, but if you don't understand what those numbers mean for you, right? There lies the problem. So you need to show, thinking about funnel and knowledge on what's happening and show that you can iterate quickly. And just understand sort of like the focus, where do you focus your time and your resources? What's driving your business? What changes can you make to improve it? And how does that impact your numbers overall? So so just understand that it's really not, we're not looking for like high ambitious numbers. Obviously, we need you to be ambitious as an entrepreneur, but it's the understanding of those numbers that is really critical for us. So when you apply for UNCAP, funding through the platform, you'll get to this section called the Quantitative Business Overview. When you click on it, this entire section has been allotted about 1.5 hours. And sometimes entrepreneurs look at that and say, what am I going to do within 90 minutes? They must be asking for a lot. I'd just like to encourage you. What we've done is we've built in more time than is necessary to be able to fill in and to upload whatever documents you need to this section. We're really sort of like thinking about how can we make the entrepreneurs comfortable as possible. And then we've broken down into these various components you're seeing on the screen before you right now, just to make it much easier and a much more seamless process for you. I should mention that if you're raising any type of capital out there, essentially you're going to be handing in these same numbers and the same documents as well. What we've done is we put it in one place, make it seamless and easy for you to do it, as opposed to have several meetings where you're coming back, with your P&L and your cash flows and your, reports from, last year's performance. We've made it really easy to have sort of like one platform that you can do over 1.5 hours. And if within that 1.5 hours, you're not able to complete the process, then you're able to keep coming back to it and restarting this particular segment. So that being said, so just a minute, let me just pull this up properly so I can see. That being said, the quantitative business overviews is categorized under these main topics. So the first part is looking at your company basics. So in this segment, we're just essentially asking you about the registration date of your company, how many months of operation have you been in as a business, how many employees, co-founders do you have? So just give us the basics of the company to be able to understand you better. Then we quickly move into the P&L section. P&L, for those who are not familiar with the abbreviation, is profit and loss. Here you're just essentially telling us about your total revenues over the past 12 months, your total cost of goods, the total costs for personnel and staff. So how much are you paying them? You're telling us about your taxes and your deductions. You're telling us about your cost for materials if you are, a goods company, or cost of services if you're a service company. You're basically giving us everything that goes into your P&L. Let me see if there's anything that would be standing out. So just basically net profit and loss, and just an understanding that any business out there would be able to sort of like give us this data. If you have it somewhere in a book manually, put in, just pull on those books and just be able to upload this data. The third part of this is the balance sheet. So here it's giving us your current accounts receivable, your current balance in your bank account, business bank account, as well as M-Pesa account for those businesses that are in East Africa, because we understand that businesses have, cash assets both in the bank, but also in mobile wallets as well. And here we're looking at your current inventory, we're looking at your various other assets that you could have out there, but also give us information with regards to debt. Like, are you also servicing another debt out there? This doesn't penalize you, it just helps us understand your business better, so that we can be able to structure funding that is appropriate for your business. So we've covered company basics so far, profit and loss, and then we've moved into balance sheet. The next section will be cash flow. So just helping us understand the sum of all investments into your business, your cash flow from your operating activities, your cash flow from your investing activities, if any, your cash flow from your financing activities, and if you've finished paying off any debts out there, and just the sum of all expected investments in the next 12 months, because you might be applying for Uncapped funding, but you might also be looking at raising a grant or some other funding out there, or working capital from an institution out there. So, a bit of projection happens here, smart projections, and be able to qualify what it is that you're speaking about, and show an understanding of what it is that you're trying to aim and how you're trying to grow your business. Next part is what happens is anytime you talk to any investor out there. So you're defining your funding need. So how much funding is it that you actually need? You know that Uncapped provides between $10,000 and $50,000. So you do not necessarily have to apply for the full $50,000 if you don't have the need for that for your business over the next couple of years. What would you mainly use the funding for? So, you have a few options there. Is it, team expansion? Is it purchasing equipment? Is it investing in marketing? Give us your reason for the funding need. And tell us about your previous funding. Have you successfully raised funding before? What has been your experience in the past? Have you been able to get a grant in the past? Have you got an informal source of a loan from a loan shark, perhaps, or from a bank? Just give us a bit of more understanding into what you have been able to raise in the past before, as well as sort of like the business support. Have you gone through an accelerator program or some sort of technical expertise support out there to help you, understand and grow your business to the next level? So give us a bit more information on this as well. And then down there, which is towards the end of the QBO, the Quantitative Business Overview, is questions around compliance. And you know how important this is. So we'd want to understand that you're paying your taxes and that you're having your finances audited annually, and that you have some form of governance and accountability out there to be able to ensure that your business is running and is running well and not involved in any illegalities out there, and that you have a corporate business account and you have, proper signatories and you have proper registration and just various aspects with regards to governance and compliance out there. So essentially, so we talk about company basics, we talk about P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, what is your funding need, and that you are compliant as a business. If you think about it, these are sort of like the building blocks of a business, and it shouldn't be hard and difficult to be able to submit these numbers and the documents required to support that. So I encourage you to just, go at it. Any application you make out there to a bank, to a venture capital firm, will require you to do this. What we've done is simplified it to put it on a platform, and then we'll be able to use our algorithms to be able to assess that and make an unbiased selection for businesses to invest in. Thank you, Francisca.
Thank you, Esther. I really loved how you were drawn from your own experience. And I think that was also like a learning experience for myself with Uncapped as a business. I mean, as I told you before, we founded Uncapped a little bit over 2 years ago. And so we've also done through that process, like looking at how do we make this business financially sustainable? Where do we stand at the moment? Like, how will our journey look like? And I think it can be actually quite an interesting exercise anyways. The whole quantitative business overview closes off with something that I think is really fun. It's basically a video intro. And in that video, we really we wanna see you for a minute or two. And we wanna see you talking about your business. We wanna hear more about like, who are you? What is the idea that you're working on here? What is the problem you're trying to tackle with your business? And also, like, what's your motivation to start the business? Like, why are you working on this? And I think it's essentially what I did earlier when I explained Uncapped. And this is also something like really pick up a phone or some device that can kind of like produce video and just be yourself. Like, no need to have any fancy edits or anything. We really don't care about that. Just kind of like think about what you want to say, record the video 1 to 2 minutes, and then upload it. It could be that the video is too big. So there are tools on the internet that help you to make the video smaller, so it's easier to upload. Wambui, could you put the link in the chat? That would be great. And also a link on more resources about the quantitative business overview. So we've basically also looked at what are some links that you guys could use if you want to kind of like read a little bit more about how do I actually put together a P&L, how do I put together a balance sheet or a cash flow statement. And I think there are actually nowadays some fantastic resources out there that make it quite easy using examples, etc. So, and I think now it's time for questions. Nice. I think we're now almost at the end. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I really enjoyed it. It's always nice to run a webinar and office hour where there are actually questions. So we have the feeling that this was actually helpful to at least some of you. As said before, this was our kind of like second office hour on quantitative business overview deep dive. Next week, there will be the next office hour on the revenue-based financing offer explained. So for those of you who are considering applying or who are applying, please join next week's webinar as well, because there we'll dive a little bit deeper into how do we actually invest in your business. And then again, we'll have plenty of time for questions. And then there will be, I think, 2 more webinars this September. So please join us if you're interested. Thank you all. Thank you, Wambui. Thank you, Esther. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for your questions. And please apply. We're really hoping that we can kind of like greet you as part of our new investment cohort. Thank you all and have a fantastic rest of your day.